Well, thank you everyone for taking the time right before a holiday to be here. We're going to go over fire inspection, safety, and fire prevention. Again, my name is Layla Splawn, and I am a commercial and residential law specialist with Duarte Construction. So, who is Duarte Construction? We are your residential and commercial insurance claim contractor. We specialize in damage such as fire, water, tree, vehicle, and wind damage. The photos that I have here are some of the work that we have done. The one to your left was actually a house split down the middle by an Italian oak, I believe it was. And after we completed the project, below is what it looked like after. Right next to it is the kitchen and what the kitchen looked like before the tree split the house down the middle. So it's kind of cool to see what it looks like at first and after we put our hands on it, what it looks like after. Here's some of the things that I get to see every day. Definitely not a dull moment in the world of restoration. So the top left, that actually was another tree. The tree was right below. That one split the house down the middle as well. Right in the middle, that was a fire actually that started from a cooking or baking, I should say, cookies. The homeowner accidentally put the stove or the oven on self-cleaning mode, which temperatures reach up to 800 to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Um, and she turned the stove off, and I believe when that when you turn it off, it does not unlock until it's like 200 to 300 degrees. And she took the cookies out, put them on the counter, which by then it was smoldering, filling up her house with smoke. She takes the cookies, puts them outside into the waste bin full of the gardening stuff right next to her house. The trash can blew up in flames right up the stucco to her attic. And right in the middle is what the consequences were of doing so. Right below is the same picture you saw from the tree. And then to the top left, that was actually a fire this week that just happened. We'll be talking a lot about what not to do in these situations. As you can see, they're all tools in that photo. This is the reason or how it started. And right below is just a snippet of where those tools were in the kitchen. So I can't stress enough how much education is imperative to you as a homeowner, renter, just as a person. So understanding what your CC&Rs read, what you're responsible for as a homeowner or a renter, just understanding your coverages at all is so important. I can't tell you how many times I run into the situation where I ask people, do you know what insurance do you have? Do you understand your coverages? 9 times out of 10, they don't. So definitely I've learned a lot in this line of business because I see it every day, but it is very important that you understand this because you can prevent so much and have your own back as, a homeowner. So going into the next slide, understanding your coverages. There's these four that are the most important: coverage A, coverage B, coverage C, and coverage D. Coverage A is your building limits that you have to work with, if you will. So you'll have a set amount. Typically, you'll take the about 300 to 350 a square foot, times it by your footage of your house, or your condo, and that's what it takes to rebuild your home. Coverage B is other structures such as like your flat work, your pool equipment, your sheds, your detached garages. A lot of the times those are underinsured by far. Usually insurance brokers will take 5% of your building code or your building coverage and think that that's enough to rebuild, but it's not. Coverage C is your personal property. It's very important that you know everything that you've accumulated in the years that you've been in a home. You don't remember what you buy because we buy so much, unfortunately. So documenting everything that you're buying, keeping your receipts is highly important just to make sure that you're getting compensated correctly when these unfortunate things do happen. Coverage D is your loss of use, known as ALE in your policy. It's additional living expenses. This is what is going to help you in the next steps when you don't have a place to stay. You don't have family that you could stay with locally. In your policy, it'll read either up to a year that you can have temporary ALE, or they'll have a dollar amount in your policy. So you'll want to make sure that you understand what that amount is and if it's enough. Sometimes a lot of the jobs that we do, they're out at least sometimes a year. So if you don't have enough coverage, then you're stuck paying a mortgage and you're stuck paying a rent, which not a lot of people can do. So like I said, have your own back by doing your due diligence and understanding your policy and coverages. The next endorsement that I recommend everybody have is kind of like the a la carte for your policy is extended or building code upgrades, which is law and ordinance in your policy. This is to get your home up to date with today's building code. So everything like your windows, your appliances, your plumbing fixtures, your electrical wiring, all of those is going to have to come out of that back bucket of money, out of your dwelling. It's like an extension of that, if you will. So the other thing is extended replacement cost. If in the scenario where you do hit your policy limits, you do have a kicker to help you cover that additional cost for rebuild. The next thing to go into is fire inspections and just making sure that you are covering yourself. Making sure that you're changing your batteries on your fire or smoke detectors. On the back of these, you'll see a manufacture date. These only last 8 to 10 years. And so whether it's battery operated or the long-term batteries, make sure that you are checking those regularly. Testing them, there's a button on there that you can press to make sure that it's still active. When you hear it chirping, that means that you need to change the batteries. It does not mean call the fire department. I actually consulted with the fire department to do this this presentation, and they told me they do get a lot of calls for that chirp. That is not an emergency. That is just reminding you, hey, change my batteries because I'm going dead. So, of course, it's an annoying sound that we don't want to hear. Change those batteries. Sometimes when they do exceed 10 years old, they'll start changing to like a nasty yellow color. That is because they release some brominated gas, and you want to throw those out. Those are no good. Also maintaining your carbon monoxide detectors simply for the reason of your gas burning appliances. Some of the inspections that you can do to make sure that you're covered is checking your electrical wiring. How can you do that? One thing that you can do is order or call an electrician, get a mega meter test. This will make sure that all your electrical wiring is sound and that there's no short circuits, faulty wiring, for electrical hazards. A lot of the fires that we see are sometimes electrical. So spend the $1,500 to $1,800 to get this mega meter test done because it will save you a lot of grief in the long run. It's not that much money to save you, like I said, when you have to rebuild your entire house. The next thing that we've been seeing quite a bit, especially with just the thing or how things are made today, is lithium-ion batteries. We went to the Milwaukee batteries that you saw in the picture. That was a lithium-ion battery pack that you saw. So what happens is when these chargers are on their charge, whatever it's called, when they overcharge, they start releasing like a thermogas, and with the heat and that gas that builds up, it eventually will just explode, and then that's where the fire comes from. So again, these are supposed to have an automatic shut off, what they call charge ports. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they keep on going, and then they get so hot that it's kind of, yeah. So make sure that you have an automatic shut off or you're maintaining the time that your stuff is charging, because these give off the gases of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, methane, and hydrogen. And like I said, the picture you saw is often what we see with the fires that we go to. Regularly cleaning out your dryer vents is highly important too. We've definitely gone to multiple fires that started from the dryer vent buildup. Just making sure that you're cleaning them out quarterly or every 6 months, depending on the frequency of how much laundry that you're doing. What you'll want to look for is the buildup of lint, outside or inside, whatever that may be, whether it's electric or gas. Any smell of the burning, like that's not good. Any weird, strange noises that you're hearing, also not good. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to these little things that could be significant in the long run. A lot of the ones we do see also are overload of your extension cords. You do not want to overload these strips with things that require a lot of voltage. Like, I mean, it's kind of common sense, right? Once you see the outlets with black or smoking, or when they trip the breaker, that's them saying, I can't handle this. So don't do it. Some of the emergency planning that you can do is practice your exit routes in your home with your family. A lot of people, when these things happen, they don't know what to do. It's panic mode, it's fight or flight. So have this rehearsed so you know exactly what to do in the event of a fire. One of the things that I highly recommend for anybody, whether you be a renter or a homeowner, is take pictures and video documentation of everything in your home. Every single little thing. It sounds like a lot, but you want to get compensated correctly. Which comes out of your contents, personal property bucket of money. So making sure you have the documentation for everything you own will help you when you're doing your inventory lists for the insurance to get you compensated. And then making sure that you have pictures of all your finishes within your home will help you get compensated as well, because when a fire happens, it's hard to tell what was existing prior unless you have photos or documentation, somehow receipts of your flooring, of your lighting fixtures, of everything. So make sure you do that just to save yourself some grief down the line. Keeping all your important documents in a fire-rated safe, I highly recommend, as well as your keepsakes. A lot of the time we put our miscellaneous stuff in a closet that we never look at, or in a storage bin. Unfortunately, those things do not hold anything safely. So I recommend a fire-rated safe because you'll always have that. And then again, updating your insurance policy every 3 to 5 years. I say with inflation because you never know what building materials cost. So making sure that you know and understand your policy is huge. A lot of the fires that we see are listed below. Like I said, the cooking fires, the unattended cooking, please don't do that. We actually just did one. We went to one this week, was unattended food on the stove. And that was a total loss. So just pay attention, please. Candles is another one. The unattended candles, sometimes we forget to turn them off. I've even done it myself, even in my line of business. So give yourself some grace. Nobody's perfect. I've come home after it being on all day, and I got lucky. Let's just say that. So, like I said, the extension cords, the appliances, some of the ones we see, like I said, are dryers. Even dishwashers have caught on fire. The heating pads and blankets. I was actually one from the fire department. I haven't seen a lot of those, but we know that those get really warm, and you just want to make sure that you're making sure it's not on all night long. The lithium ion batteries, that is a huge one, whether that be a car charger, a phone charger is a big one, any charger for that matter. One that we saw was a third-party charger from Amazon for a Dyson vacuum cleaner. We don't want the third-party chargers unless they have some great reviews. When the insurance company goes to subrogate against these companies, you want a reputable company for them to go find so they can recoup their money, such as a well-known company like Apple, if you will. Sometimes when we're buying those third-party things on Amazon, we don't know where they come from, and it's going to be hard to find them and reclaim that money for the insurance. So Electrical, we talked about the wiring throughout the home, wall plugins, like the little, what they call Bath and Body Works plugins. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but those get really, really hot. Making sure that they don't run out of that oil is huge. Fireworks, definitely seen a lot of those on fences, on the roof. So during 4th of July, make sure you're wetting your roofs if you do have a flammable roof, so it's not as flammable, if you will. And then spontaneous combustion is another one. Some people staining their floors, for example, and they don't properly get or store their rags. Those will burst in flames if you do not get rid of it correctly. So going into what I do to help myself stay safe, and I hope that you guys can adopt this as well, is keeping these little fire extinguishers throughout your home. I found this on Amazon for $30 and they have great reviews. I hope that I don't ever have to use it, but if you do, I hope that you have them throughout your home. It's recommended to keep them close by every heating source in your home just in case. It's better to be safe than sorry, I always say. So just buy one, buy two. And remember, less clutter is less ground fuel for a fire to burn. We don't, to be honest, my apartment is definitely a lot of clutter. Should it be? No. But yeah, more clutter is more fuel for the fire to burn. So it just moves on to one thing after the next, and just keeps eating everything. So maybe I should take a page out of my own book. What to do if there is an active fire? If you feel like the flames are manageable, then, or if they're not manageable, call 911 ASAP. If you feel that the flames are in your control, here's some things that you can do to maintain the flames. What you want to make sure is try to eliminate as much oxygen as possible, whether that be covering it with a towel, blanket, baking soda, salt. Any flat object will help you reduce that flame. Even a baking sheet, and of course the fire extinguisher will help you way quicker. If it is a cooking fire in the oven, turn off the oven. Do not open the door. As soon as you open that door, all that oxygen is going to come and feed that fire. So just turn off the oven and just let it die down. Don't try to panic and do something right away. It being closed, there's not a lot of oxygen for it to feed off of. So if it is a grease fire, a lot of people, when they panic, they're like, fire, water is the source to run to. Don't put water on a grease fire. That will literally burn in your face. It is literally an explosive fireball, so don't do that, please. And if you do, the shirt that I'm wearing, if you get burns, this is a great nonprofit organization that does help fire victims with additional therapy resources and money if you do need it. So Firefighter Burn Institute. And thank you. Do you guys have any questions?
We have one question from one of our attendees.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for putting this on. Yeah, my name's Greg. I'm one of the board members.
Hi.
My big question is, and some of us have concerns about because we're attached, it's a townhouse, it's a
Yes.
UD, and we were built in the early 80s. I've been here 25 years. I don't think we've ever had a fire, but we have a few owners that their garages, they're a mess. And is there anything, well, let me back up a little bit. With the climate that the insurance industry, what we're in California, and we want to do everything we can. We're very proactive on our tree maintenance. But is there something we can do legally to encourage people to clean up their garages and to do these electrical, inspections? And Tony, maybe you can answer it. Should we do a campaign? We want to do everything we can to prevent it. And I realize you can't make somebody organize their garage, but any thoughts?
That's a great question. I honestly do not know how to answer that. Like you said, we cannot make anybody to do anything. Um, we can't, I mean, within the CCNRs, I would say maybe that's, like you said, Tony's area of expertise.
Yeah, Greg, as you know, you're familiar with your governing documents. There's nothing really stated in there. It would have to be observed. The association doesn't have the right to force a homeowner to open their garage and for an inspection to occur. So it'd have to be something that's observed and then called out in terms of the homeowner. But you know, Creek Ridge does have great rules that have been created, and so potentially adding another rule regarding garages and the organization of those garages would be something we consider.
Thank you.
Yep. We have another question. Deborah, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I want to say thank both of you for giving me the opportunity to ask this question.
Yeah.
And thank you also for putting this on. A lot of good stuff, some things that I hadn't considered.
Yeah, of course.
Dealing with the thermal batteries with our computer products like the iPads and the iPhones and the laptop. We probably have heard in the news that there's been combustions on airplanes in the cabinet.
Yeah.
Any suggestions on how we can better protect our home? Like, is there anything we can put our iPads in or laptops in? How do we really keep that from happening? Because I noticed I have the newest phone, and the other day it was getting hot on me, really hot. And I'm like, what in the world is this all about? Any suggestions on how to protect our stuff in the home with these kind of situations?
Yeah, the only thing, like at least that I've read about, is keeping it away from any heat sources, and cooling, in a storing in a cool area. The only other thing that I could recommend is making sure that you're not overcharging any of your products. Like I said, a fireman actually or an investigator explained to me.
Mm-hmm.
And those battery packs and the lithium ion batteries that we see, they look like one solid battery, but they're not. When you open them up, there are a bunch of little batteries together. And
Yeah.
so we don't know what all those little batteries are doing and how they're reacting chemically.
Okay.
So making sure that you're timing your stuff, or just
Yeah.
be diligent about that, because you never know. I've heard a fire that we went to, a simple charger behind a bed just being
Yeah.
hit against it
Yeah.
burst into flames. So just make sure that you're being diligent about, everything that's surrounding those products, if you will, or those chargers. Like I said, declutter. We don't
Okay.
want any fuel to burn.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea by not overcharging it. I heard that because I know with me having 3 devices, and I'm really on my stuff a lot. I'm an IT person in
Yeah.
for working IT. I'm retired now, but I love my technology. But I noticed that maybe I leave them plugged in. Maybe I need to not leave them plugged in when I'm gone and stuff. Unplug them. Make
I have to
plugged in,
say,
put it out, turn it off or whatever.
yeah, I have to say, unfortunately, in this business, I've created a little bit of anxiety for myself because I see a lot of stuff that I don't want to. So I
Yeah.
do unplug, my chargers, like my hair products, anything that has significant, the potential for damage, I unplug
Okay.
because I don't want to come home to what I see every day.
I
So, yeah.
What do you know about solar generators? I bought one recently, a middle one from Costco, and it has these big old ion batteries you're talking about. Mine is one you can plug in the wall, or you can use the solar panels. So it's 100% charged. And for a while I had it on, but then I turned it off because, when you leave it on, it slowly drains after a
Yeah.
while. But I want to keep it powered. So when I need it, when the lights go out, I have some power source. You see what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
pretty
of
big. I
course.
can plug my refrigerator into it. I can plug the lights in the house, IT stuff, even the car if I'm traveling. Do
I
you
think I know exactly which one you're talking about.
okay.
Um,
Even flow or echo flow, something like that?
is it orange?
Mine's is grayish black.
Okay.
It has a fan in it, and it's also connected to my phone to Wi-Fi.
Wow.
Yeah,
What? I
A
was like,
nice
I need to
one.
get one. That's awesome that you're prepared because a lot of people aren't. Um,
Yeah,
but again, the only thing I could say is just make sure that the charge, I can't even, I don't know, I can't.
maybe not overcharging it. I'm not really sure. It's new, so I don't know, you know?
Yeah, just make sure that you're not overcharging it and
Okay.
the stuff that's surrounding it, maybe try covering it in like a non-flammable material. That would
Yeah,
be
they
the best
had a
case
bag.
scenario.
They had a bag, and I guess too, when you're using it, making sure it has airflow, because there's fans in it. It's quiet, but there's fans. I can hear them when
Well,
they're
if you wouldn't put the bag on when it's on though.
when it's off. When it's off.
Oh,
I
that
have,
should be fine.
yeah, I have it in a cabinet underneath, but I can pull it. It's pretty heavy. It's loaded with batteries. So I'm going to keep that in consideration. The other thing I want to ask about is taking a picture of all the stuff in your house.
Yeah.
Really necessary? Do you really, if you have a fire, do they really make you go through an inventory list?
They sure do. It depends on your insurance company. So one off the top of my head that I actually know that they do not pay for inventory is State Farm. So they make the homeowner go through every single thing and remember everything that they've bought over the course of what, 30, 40 years. And it's hard to remember everything that we accumulate over those years because we buy every single day.
Yeah,
So a video would probably be easier to do to capture everything. But yeah, you
that's a
think
good
about
point.
yeah, itemizing everything down to your silverware, your pots and your pans, your spices, your fans, your baskets, everything in your home is personal property. So making sure that you have enough. If you have higher end stuff, make sure that your contents coverage is pretty significant because when you start adding all those things up, it's a lot
Mhm.
of money.
Yeah, it is. And I guess they don't just take your word for it if you have to put a claim. They really make you go through all that stuff, give you a
They
hard
do, they do. So sometimes they'll either offer like a payout to get you to
time.
settle,
Yeah,
or they'll go through and, all your stuff. Some companies will take your stuff, itemize it, try to clean it. And sometimes the cost of cleaning these items exceeds the cost that you paid for it. So just want to be mindful of what you're actually paying for because if you're buying a $2 shirt at Walmart, you don't want to have that clean unless it's near and dear to your heart because it's going to cost $15 to clean it you know?
well, that's a good idea. I'm gonna do that and put it with my insurance papers, so I'll have it on.
Yeah.
The last thing,
Yeah.
last thing. Every year, when your homeowner insurance, fire insurance renews your policy,
Hmm.
isn't it their business to build in inflation or deflation or upflation for your payout to make sure you're covered? I mean, really? No?
You would hope that the companies do their due diligence and make sure that all of their clients are covered,
Yeah,
but it's up to you as a homeowner to make sure that you're covered because unfortunately there's millions of people and unfortunately they can't get to everybody and make sure that they're up to speed on their coverages. So like I
okay.
said, we've been seeing depending, I think more single family homes are on the higher end, but 300 to 350 per square foot has been pretty reasonable with building costs and repair. So, like I said, take your square footage of where you live and multiply it by if you live in a condo, I would say 300. If not, single family home, do 350.
Okay. Well,
Hmm.
thank you for that. A lot
Yeah,
of good
of
information that I had never thought of, and
course.
let me get to working on it because if I should ever have an issue, I sure don't want to have to try to remember everything you got. That would be stressful.
Well, you can always call or text me anytime, but the one thing I can say that you can do is call your insurance broker and just say, "Hey, am I properly insured?" They'll
Yeah.
look into it and make sure that you are. Unfortunately, some of them don't understand construction costs. So if you want to call and text me or another company, I'm sure they'd be happy to share those numbers with you.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. I'm with AAA. They've been pretty good to me all these years. I
Good.
don't know anybody else. So when it comes to the cost and coverage, I trust them. I never thought about it though. The way you're putting it out there, we need to definitely be aware if we're properly covered. So
Yeah, Unfortunately, we do run into quite a bit of people that are underinsured, and there's nothing we could really do to help them, unless, of course, they have a bunch of money saved up, which
Who
it's
has
hard.
that?
It's hard these days to save up a lot of money.
If
So,
we had that, we wouldn't need insurance now, would we?
yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much. I loved your
So
class.
welcome.
Good
Yeah.
info. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. We had another suggestion from one of our participants to use off-site storage such as a safe deposit box at a financial institution for your video and important documents. Share that with everybody.
Thank you.
That's a
Okay.
good one.
Quick question, Layla, it's Barbara.
Hi.
Hey, hon, back at the beginning, you brought up the electrical wiring inspection.
Yeah.
That is are you stating there's a piece of equipment that a homeowner can buy and they check? What is it actually doing? Is it like, because I know you guys will ask, is it copper wiring? When was it built? And all of this is so, what is it actually inspecting for?
So it's called a mega meter test, and the electrician should be doing this. And the cost is between $1,500 and $1,800. But this mega meter test, we actually get it to make sure that all the electrical in homes are sound, if you will. In this case, in our case, we do it to make sure that we can turn on temporary electrical when it has been shut off by SMUD or PG&E. So this just makes sure that all of the wiring throughout the house is sound and that it's not faulty. There's no short circuits. And it's related to insulation as well. That's a little bit further than my understanding, but that is what you can do to make sure that your electrical wiring is okay.
It's all functioning properly. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's actually, it's not a piece of equipment they do. They hire an electrician.
Yeah, yeah.
It makes more sense. Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Deborah has another question.
Sorry, it will be short.
You're not, no, don't be, yeah.
The mega meter test, you said it should be done by electrician, and it sounded like you also said your company does that. Does your company do that?
No, so in the event that there is a fire, what we would then do is call electrician to do a mega meter test, whether that be a business or a building, and they will determine if the electrical is sound and all the wiring is working properly, just so we can proceed to the next step. But in this case, if you wanted to do that just to make sure your electrical wiring is functioning properly, I recommend that. I would do it.
And
It
you
has
said
nothing to do with the panels though, correct?
What was that?
The panels, it has nothing to do with checking out your panels to make sure they're safe.
No,
Okay,
and you said the cost was about 1,500 to what?
$1,800.
15 to 18, 15 to 18. And I'm just curious, people that have electrician license,
Mhm.
do you think that because it'd probably be cheaper, do you think that people like electricians that got a degree or, they're licensed, they have that meter that they could do the test?
They should. I would hope so.
Okay, because I was just, there was somebody that I hired from, well, actually, Melissa had somebody do some work for us in our park. And he also kind of did work on the side. He told me he was an electrician and he put a light up for me. He did a good job.
I take it back. Some people that we've asked, they don't do mega meter testing. So all you could do is ask your electrician, do you do mega meter testing?
Okay, I wrote that down. So that's what I'll do. So that's a good idea as well, to make sure
Yeah.
it get faulty over time.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
You're
Thank
so welcome. Yeah.
Any
Okay.
other questions? All right, I don't see any other questions. So thank you very much for all of those that attended. Thank you, Layla, for presenting. We appreciate it. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you all have a safe holiday over the next coming days.
Happy
Thank you,
Thanksgiving,
guys.
everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And thank you, Tony, for putting this on. Great information.
Thank
Loved
you,
it.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.